Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Ronin, where I'll be discussing the random musings of life with my audience, you guys. In this episode, I'd like to talk about a topic that I think about often, especially in context to the 21st century. It's actually a question. And the question is, do we have something to say, or are we all just saying something? So I find this particularly interesting because of what social media and what the internet has done for us, in that it's made us all collective social beings, more so than we had been in the past. I mean, we've been able to communicate via Facebook and via all sorts of social media to large groups, and as a result, we've been able to express our opinions in a way that we never have in the past, and to larger groups than we ever have been able to in the past. And this has caused a lot of folks to I'm sure you guys have heard of the Facebook judge. A lot of folks have opportunities to be able to develop their perspectives and share them on social media. And this is obviously a good thing because, it's good for people to be, I believe it's good for people to be able to tune into current events, the presidential elections, and all the issues that are happening in the world, and try and, discuss it to not only expand their own horizon and their own opinions, but to perhaps also share their opinions with others. And so it's a nice way to educate and to be educated, I believe. However, at what point does this voice simply become noise? And that's the topic I'd like to discuss today. So I'll go ahead and start by discussing the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge that was occurring a little while back. And what this was a challenge in which an individual would take a bucket of ice or iced water and dump it over their head. And this was supposed to simulate the physical sensations and difficulties someone diagnosed with ALS would be dealing with. And so what the person would do, anyone who was participating in the challenge, would dump the bucket of ice over their head, they would videotape it, and then they would select anywhere from, like, I think it was 2 to 5 or 3 or 4 people to do the same. And it was kind of viral marketing in that sense, because more people kept selecting others, and most people would participate, and the movement kept going on, to the point where many politicians and many celebrities and even business executives participated in this. And so that was kind of the gist of the challenge. Most people were actually for this movement, and it's arguable many just sort of followed it because it kind of became a fad, right? On the flip side, there are many contrarians to this movement too, and the main argument that I heard was that by participating in this challenge, not only are you making a parody of a real-life difficulty that people with ALS deal with, but you're also not really bringing attention to it in the way that it should have attention, because it's becoming sort of a silly thing. It's not a serious thing anymore. And even, and for most people, it's just a publicity stunt. Even if they were choosing to donate some amount of money after performing the challenge, which was also part of the challenge, but what was interesting was that after this group of critics came out and they spoke out against this, not only did a handful of people who had participated in the challenge and those who had not participated in the challenge rebuttal their perspective, but also people who actually have been diagnosed with ALS and have been suffering from the disease from a very young age or their whole lifetime spoke out, and they mentioned themselves. This is in fact not hurting us, this is actually helping us. And their argument was interesting, and I think it was valid by and large, because they mentioned big pharma, big pharmaceutical companies, their interests, frankly, come down to making a dime. So what this did was this brought a lot of attention to the illness, which it wasn't getting before, because for as devastating as ALS is, a very small number of people are actually diagnosed with this, and a very small number of people actually have this illness. So as a result, very little research has been done for ALS. And so as a result, any sort of substantial treatment or cure has really not come about. So what the ALS Challenge did was raise a substantial amount of funds for ALS research, and it also brought the attention of big pharmaceutical companies to ALS. And again, that was very important, and that is very important to figuring out what can be done about this illness. So again, I beg the question, do we have something to say, or are we just saying something? So taking into account this example of ALS, which I think is actually superimposable to this question as a whole, I would say it's contextual. Yeah, I know it's not the answer that many of you may want to hear, but this is just my take on it. And so what I think is that um, many times, especially because of modern day social media, the internet, and what have you, most of the time, as a matter of fact, we are just in fact saying something. We don't always have something to say. However, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. Now, I do believe everyone could have actually something to say, but there's a preliminary step that's required for that to happen, and I think that has to do with a lot of introspection. Someone can develop something to say when they really take the time to figure out what is their stance on things, what is their opinion about things, what do they believe should be done. And obviously, everyone, I think, can, and I would argue should have something to say, but I don't always think everyone does. So I say go out there, learn something, make an opinion, be open-minded, and change your perspectives, and grow in such a way where you have something to say, and you aren't simply saying something. Because it is not difference in opinions that's ever hurt society as much as complacency has. And so, building your own opinion, as much as it might be contrarian or against what the masses may believe, or what anyone else or any other person or any other group of people might believe, it's important. I think all of our opinions, after being well developed and after having done our research, they're very important to helping not only society move forward, but at a more fundamental level. It's useful for helping us move forward, helping us grow, and helping us develop who it is we are and what we would like to do with our lives. And for this episode, I'm just going to go ahead and conclude here, although in future episodes I'll choose to elaborate a bit more depending on if you guys are interested to know what else I have to say and why I'm saying what it is I'm saying. These are just my opinions, but the reason I'm doing this is not only would I like to educate, but I would like to be educated. So go ahead and leave comments for this video, subscribe down below, let me know what you guys think. Do we in fact have something to say, or are we saying something? And is it more complicated than that? And if so, how? And with that, until next time, take care, you guys.